Hi YouTube, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. Visit me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. Today, we are winding down this diamond sharpening stone series finally. It seems like it's been a long time since I started the series, but I think we've got two more, maybe three more videos in the whole series, and then we'll be done. We've got two more stones to look at. One of them is the 400 grit atoma. The other one is the gun show. The gun show diamond 400, something like that, and then probably one last video to kind of wrap my thoughts up, to finish it all out. Now, also, I just got to share this with somebody. This morning, or no, actually just about an hour ago, while I was having lunch, I saw the very first 13-stripe ground squirrel of the year. Today's March 4th. It seems mighty early, but apparently they're out, which means that yeah, that means spring is absolutely on its way. So anyway, so we've got the Atoma 400 grit. This stone right here, I've had for 5 or 6 years, something like that. And you know what? I doubt that I've probably got maybe 20 knives sharpened on this stone. It seems to me like folks either love or hate this stone. I'm kind of, I wouldn't quite say I hate it, because it is a sharpening stone. You guys know I love sharpening stones. But it's one that I haven't really gotten along with all that well in the past. So we're going to take a little bit closer look at it today. Today we're going to check it for flat on my granite tile. We're going to take a look at it underneath the microscope and low and high, the lowest that it's set up for right now, and then the highest magnification that it's set up for. We're going to take the little 3-inch 1095 Skagel style slip joints that I made. We're going to bring it to a burr. We're going to take a look at the burr underneath the microscope, finish the edge off, take a look at the finished edge underneath the scope, and then we're going to do a quick 50 cut test on the manila rope, and then see how it does as far as how much pressure it takes to make each cut, or the first cut, the 25th cut, and the 50th cut. We're going to take a look at the resulting edge up underneath the microscope, and then, call it good. So we're going to go ahead and check the thing for flat. Let's wipe it off. Put it on my granite tile here. And then we'll bring you all over. Flip this around so I see what you're seeing. Alright, there's the stone. We've got a couple of feeler gauges here. The brass one is 10 thousandths of an inch thick, and the silver one, this particular one, is 3 thousandths of an inch thick. So, now remember this, one of the things about the atomas is that the plate is aluminum, and the diamonds come in like a little sticky pad that apparently when they wear out, you can just unstick them and buy a new sticky pad full of diamonds. Well, there's a couple of spots here on the back that feeler gauge is just sticking and kind of lifting the stone up just a little bit. But boy, that's pretty dang flat. If I remember right, that's right up there with the I think the DMT so far was the flattest, the old DMT. One from, I think, 2018. But yeah, that's one of the flattest, if not the flattest stones that we've looked at so far. So let's turn the camera on and we'll take a look at it. Zoom you in so you get as much screen as you can. And then we'll hit the live button. It's kind of funny, I had this thing focused before we started to kind of save a little bit of time. This looks considerably different on the TV than it does through the eyepieces. Like a lot different. Okay, so what you're looking at here are clumps of diamonds. Hopefully we'll be able to see it a little bit better on the higher magnification setting. But each one of these, I mean, you see how it's got like a you know, a pretty even pattern going on here. Well, that pattern isn't really the diamonds. The pattern is the pattern of diamonds. So you've got like a clump of diamonds here, a clump of diamonds here, a clump of diamonds here. They're all about the same diameter as far as like little bitty piles of diamonds on top of the stones, or on top of the stone, and a pretty even pattern that you can see of the surface of the plate showing through, or the surface of the sticky pad that the diamonds are adhered to, and then that gets adhered to the plate. But that's on our lowest setting that we're set up for right now. So now let's zoom in a little bit. Well, I'll zoom in a little bit. We're zooming in as much as we can. Okay, so that's, I think that's about as good as we're going to get. And this side over here looks a little bit clearer. This side looks pretty fuzzy. This is kind of okay, and then this side looks about the clearest. And again, this stuff right here is, I wonder if I blow on that, if it'd get rid of that dust. You know, it did a little bit. Okay, so this stuff right here, this is where there are no diamonds. Up in here, around like that. These right here are the piles of diamonds that are on you know, adhered to the surface. There is a little bit of fuzzy stuff in here that you see, and that's again shot dust, or it's, you know, skin from my hand when I you know, wiped the stone off to make sure there wasn't any you know, big chunks of stuff on it. But the diamonds themselves that are in there, again, they all still look pretty sharp. You know, the peaks of them. And then one thing that I was thinking about when, you know, when I was getting the microscope set up and everything, is I really kind of wonder if these piles, you know, so if they're actually like a pile, you know, of diamonds, right? So, you know, you know, like charcoal briquettes, you know, so there's going to be several of, you know, almost like a stack. You know, I can't even, I'm too close to this thing. So like a stack of diamonds. I kind of wonder if as these diamonds get, you know, dull, and then as they go dull, you increase the pressure to be able to get the thing to cut. That's just kind of naturally what your hand does. If it would strip the top of the pile of diamonds off and expose more diamonds as you go. I did look at the edge of the stone underneath magnification, and it does look like that pile of diamonds, so from the bottom of the pile of diamonds to the top of the pile of diamonds, might be as thick as maybe about 1/8,000 of an inch thick. So that's something, you know, you guys that are atoma, that really like your atomas and use them an awful lot, it'd be interesting to see, you know, run that by you and see if that's something that you've noticed. All right, so let's go ahead and take our knife, and we'll bring it up to a burr. Let's go this way this time. Now that, you know, that stone feels really, it feels nice and even. I still get kind of a soft feeling. You know, it's not near as crisp, and I think what that is the, you know, the fact that these diamonds aren't adhered right to the aluminum. They're adhered to this, you can probably see it right there. The diamonds are adhered to the top of this little sticky pad, and the sticky pad is adhered to the aluminum. And I get a little bit of like a cushion feeling from that sticky pad there. Okay, so we've got a good burr on the other side. Let's take a look at it. And that is a good looking burr. Again, if you're looking at the blade on the side of it, that burr is kind of curled towards us. Okay, you can kind of see how the light reflects different there. This right here is going to be our future edge, so that's a pretty heavy burr. And then you know, you got pieces of it that are worn up, and look, there's pieces of steel that are just kind of starting to flake off. You know, because you know, as that burr curves away and you still grind on the back, then you know, this piece of steel is much less supported over here. It's almost like you're grinding through the side of it instead of the top of it. It's just the nature of a burr. Now that burr, honestly, it doesn't look a whole lot different than the other burrs that we've been looking at. So I must have been, well, it's not like I was wrong, but you know, I was thinking that there might be a difference in the way the burrs looked in between the stones. Now we got a burr on that side. It's cutting nice and fast. I mean, fast for a 400 grit stone. Okay, now we really lighten up our pressure. Now we're going to go ahead and shear the burr off. So if that is the blade bevels, that is about the angle that I was sharpening at. That is going to be about the angle that we're going to shear the burr off at. And see, I kind of feel that catching. I kind of feel that edge catching on the piles of diamonds. That's probably the biggest thing I have against this stone, is that those piles of diamonds make it like an interrupted edge. And you see there, I just took some hair off my arm just to double check and make sure that it was good and sharp. Okay, so now we see a nice even scratch pattern. Okay, we see a nice toothy edge, and then we see bits and pieces of probably skin from my arm when it was taking the hair off. But yeah, that's a good looking edge. There is a little bit of those white flecks, or you know, where light's reflecting differently kind of on the tops here. And I can't remember which stone was giving us that the last time. But anyway, the ridges in between the scratches look really nice and sharp. All right, so now let's bring you over here and we'll do a quick 50 cut test on the manila rope. Okay, let's get rid of the rope from the last test. I think the last stone was that Harbor Freight stone, and it was really interesting because you know, the knife felt sharp, but the force required to cut the rope was considerably higher than the other stones by well, we'll end up going over that in the conclusion video, but that Harbor Freight stone took 16 pounds to make the first cut, whereas the best stone was the Smith's and the DMT, which took 13 pounds of force to make that first cut. Let's go on this end. Okay, so again, the weight of my hand, the weight of the rope, the soft board, all on the scale is rated about 5 pounds or so. And this part right here is kind of frayed out, so it's easier to cut it if it's tighter. You know, the twist is tighter. So let's see. First cut's about 16 or 17. No, I went, yeah, I screwed that one up. Oh, about 17. 17 or 18. About 17. Okay, so now let's write that down. That's one of the higher ones. Oh no, that is higher. That's even higher than the Harbor Freight. So now let's do 20 cuts. Okay, so that's 20 cuts. Now let's measure a couple of them. That's about 5 pounds for my hand and the rope. About 17 or 18. About 18. About 18. Okay, now let's do 20 more. Okay, that's 20, so this should be about 50. I mean, you know, 50, 51, 48, somewhere around in there. So there's 5 pounds for my hand. That's about 20 pounds for that. 19, 20, 18. So let's go in the middle and call that 19. Which is right about in line with what we got from the Harbor Freight stone, which is not near as good as the other ones. And I think that has to do with the diamond pattern, you know, the clumps of diamonds instead of just a continuous surface. Let's find the edge. I wish we didn't have that stupid red box there. Now that is a fairly worn edge, pretty fast, if you know, just in 50 cuts. You can see a couple of glints of light coming off of it. That'll be what's left of the micro bevel. You can actually see the shading here looks like the micro bevel also, which usually that shows up as you know, light's reflecting more, but you know, that could be, you know, the sunlight. You know, this is in the afternoon, so the sunlight is coming in here. It's not really hitting the microscope or the knife, but we could be getting like some ambient light hitting it, and that's why this shows up different. But our scratch pattern still looks fairly even. It's just that that edge took considerably more force to make the first 25th and the 50th cut than some of our better stones. Now, I'll pull you over here and then we can do our, I can kind of look at you while I'm talking about that. Okay, now I think what's happening is, remember, this is almost like the reverse of one of the interrupted stones, okay? So, whereas the interrupted stone, well, no, it'd be about the same, I guess. Kind of different. So the interrupted stones, you know, are, you know, they coat the whole thing. It would be almost like they coated the whole thing and then drilled holes in it, right? This, on the other hand, the whole thing was flat and then they deposited, you know, piles of diamonds all over it. And I think those piles of diamonds are kind of catching, you know, the edge as I go to shear the burr off, which I think is why I just don't think it's getting that style of burr removal. I don't think is very well suited to this this method of manufacture of stones. I think that edge is catching the edges of those piles of diamonds and prematurely dulling it. So as soon as you get done sharpening it, it's just not as sharp as what it could be off of a different type of stone or a different type of diamond stone. So, like I said, the atomas, some guys really, really love them. I'm not really in that camp. I think they're okay stones. I think, you know, maybe if you were to do the micro bevel and then, you know, stone strop one or two strokes per side, you know, that might, you know, clean up some of the damage from that edge, you know, knocking into the edges of the piles. I don't know. And honestly, I'm not really that big of a fan of this stone. And so it's going to go right back up on the shelf, and it's probably going to sit for another 5 years like it did the last 5 years. And maybe one of these days I'll take it back out and play with it and you know, really get along with it. Until then, it'll just sit up there on the shelf. The guys that really love them, maybe they've got a different technique than mine. But anyway, it's a cool stone, just not really one of my favorites. So again, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can visit me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time.